Let me take you back to a day in my life as a freshman at North Carolina State University. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and my alarm is buzzing, pulling me from my sleep. I drag myself out of bed, attempt to get ready as fast as possible, and rush out the door. I catch the bus to where my car is parked, making what should have been a 15-minute commute into over an hour, because I can't afford to park anywhere near campus. And then I drive to my first job at a fast food restaurant. The kitchen's chaotic. Orders flying in, fryers sizzling, customers growing impatient. I'm taking orders, mixing milkshakes, packing to-go bags, moving so fast I barely have time to think, let alone breathe. After 5 nonstop hours on my feet, I slide into my new class, just in time, but still smelling like fried chicken. As soon as the lecture ends, I head straight to my second job. By the time I get home, it's 10 p.m. My body aches, my eyelids are heavy, but my night isn't over. I have assignments due, an anatomy exam to study for, and a group project where, of course, I'm the only one who cares that it's due tomorrow. But regardless, in just a few hours, my alarm will sound at 5 a.m., and I'll do it all over again. That was my freshman year of college. For years, I thought this was just the price of getting a degree, that struggling to eat, to pay rent, while juggling coursework and working multiple jobs was just part of the college experience. But it's not. It's a systemic failure. No student should have to choose between their education and their survival. Unfortunately, this is the reality for over 4 million students nationwide. Students trying to build a better future while struggling to meet the most basic of their needs. Think food, housing, or transportation. The problem of basic needs insecurity is far bigger than most people realize. A national study by the Hope Center found that 41% of college students experience food insecurity, a number that is much higher at community colleges. And can you believe that 14% of students experience homelessness at some point during their education? This isn't just about money. It's about access, equity, and lasting impact. First-generation students, low-income students, and students of color are disproportionately affected. These students are trying to break cycles of poverty, yet they're met with barriers that make success feel impossible. When a student is weighed down by financial stress, the consequences are profound. According to an Ellucian report, nearly 60% of students have considered dropping out due to financial strain, and 19% actually did. These aren't small decisions. They shape futures. According to the Department of Education, individuals with a bachelor's degree earn 84% more over their lifetime than those with only a high school diploma. So when a student leaves college because they couldn't make ends meet, they aren't just missing out on a degree. They're losing a lifetime of opportunity and stability. I really started to understand the scope of this issue when I took on a third job as a research assistant, studying food and housing insecurity. I sat with students across campus, meeting with them in study rooms just like this, asking about their experiences. I remember one student who told me that they thought getting into college was the hard part. If they could just make it there, they thought, then everything else would fall into place. But no one warned them about the nights they spent hungry, stretching their last meal credit as far as it would go. No one told them that their financial aid package wouldn't be enough to cover rent, leaving them scrambling for a place to stay between semesters. Dropping out wasn't an option, not because college was easy, but because going home would mean even fewer opportunities. This student in particular had grown up watching their mother struggle to put food on the table, vowing to never be in that position themselves. I have to graduate, they told me. I have to make this work. You know, I expected to hear stories like this, students working nonstop just to make ends meet. But what I found was something even more alarming. It wasn't just that students were struggling. It was that they didn't know where to go to find support, and frankly, Most faculty didn't even know that this was an issue. Once I saw this, I knew that something had to change. First, my research team built a centralized curriculum for faculty and staff, equipping them to recognize students in need and guide them to the right support. Then, we built a website bringing together all available resources, like the food pantry, emergency aid, and housing support, into one easy-to-navigate place. And it worked. Slowly, things started to change. More students got the help they needed, and more faculty stepped up, knowing exactly what to do. The cracks in the system weren't gone, but for the first time, we were starting to fill them. But I realized that the problem wasn't unique to NC State. In fact, I met a group of students at the University of Tennessee who were working on similar initiatives. We started sharing ideas, comparing strategies, and quickly realized that if we worked together, we could do so much more. So in 2020, we combined our efforts into a national nonprofit organization. What started as a small campus initiative quickly expanded to 5 universities the following year, laying the groundwork for what I now consider to be my dream job. As we expanded, we noticed that when facing food or housing insecurity, many students hesitate to reach out to faculty or staff. They worry about judgment, paperwork, or being told they don't qualify for help. Some assume that if they were eligible, someone would have already reached out to them. Others fear being dismissed, shamed, or met with yet another dead end. But talking to a fellow student, that feels safer, more relatable, less intimidating. This is why one of the most effective but overlooked strategies for addressing student basic needs and security is student-to-student support. They know the challenges firsthand, and when they're given the right tools, they don't just fill the gaps in support, they change the campus culture so that those gaps don't exist in the first place. In 2023, we decided to build something to test this idea, a national peer navigator program. We reached out to students that we had met at conferences and shared our ideas on social media to find people who already cared about making college more affordable. We trained them on the basics, how to conduct outreach, how to screen students for benefits like SNAP, and how to talk about these issues without shame. We gave them flyers, talking points, and a message to cut through the noise. You might qualify for help, and we can walk you through it. They went to campus events. They knocked on dorm doors. They ran Instagram campaigns, and they talked to students wherever they were. And it worked. In the first year of the program, our peer navigators connected their fellow students to over $900,000 in food assistance. And this year, our programs have helped students learn that they qualify for over $15 million in support. This is what happens when you stop waiting for students to come to you and start reaching them first. But no matter how effective peer support is, it shouldn't be the only safety net. Students shouldn't have to rely on luck, on word of mouth, or on meeting the right person at the right time to get the support that they need to stay in school. The truth is, the barriers they face aren't accidental. Higher education was built for full-time students who already have the support and money that they need to succeed. Most colleges weren't even designed for today's students balancing jobs, caregiving responsibilities, and rising costs just to afford to be in class. So when a student drops out, it's not because the system failed. It's because the system was working exactly as it was designed. This is why we have to build something better, something made for who today's students really are. We need a simple, clear way for students to access support. One place for them to go without digging through old websites or confusing forms. We need faculty and staff who know exactly what to do when a student is struggling. They should be trained to recognize the signs and connect students to resources. And we need better policies. Financial aid should reflect the real cost of living. And students who qualify for public benefits should be able to access them without administrative rules standing in the way. This isn't just a vision, it's the future that we're building. When I started this work, I was a student juggling multiple jobs, just trying to make it through the day. I didn't feel like a leader. I felt like a student trying to survive. Now, 4 years after graduating, I lead a national organization that's helped thousands of students access the food, housing, and healthcare that they need to stay in school. My days look a little bit different now, but my mission is still the same: to help students get out of survival mode and make the most of their education. So here's my challenge to all of us. What gaps do you see around you in your community? What's the first step that you can take to make a difference? Change doesn't start with a title or a degree. It starts with every one of us seeing the problem, using our strengths, and taking action. No matter your role, we each have a part in this solution. If you're a student, organize with others to identify gaps in your campus and demand action. If you're faculty or staff, make sure that every student you come in contact with knows exactly where to go to find support. If you're a funder, invest in scalable solutions that center real students' experiences. And if you're a policymaker, remove the red tape that makes support impossible to access. And if you're anyone who cares, support the local programs that help students meet their basic needs and stay in school. Change doesn't happen all at once. It happens when people like us take action, step by step. Every step forward builds momentum. Every positive action is a choice to shape the future that you want to see. So ask the question, start the program, fund the initiative, challenge outdated policies. Let's be the ones who make a difference, because the future of so many students depends on it. Thank you.